This debate will feature Dwayne Seymour, Wayne Panton, Robert Bodden, Osborne Bodden, and Alva Saku. Tammy Suleiman will moderate, and political analyst Ben Mead and Johan Moxham will offer their insights on the candidates. Watch Cayman 27 live on Tuesday, April 25th at 7 p.m. to get informed about the 2017 national election.
Waste Carriers is your complete waste management company. We service commercial, residential, and construction properties. With our large inventory of dumpsters and grapple truck services, we provide an unmatched, dependable service. Our sister company, Island Recycling, buys and collects recyclables such as AC units, aluminum cans, auto batteries, copper, and much, much more. For Cayman's waste and recycling solution, one call takes care of it all. Call 946-DUMP. That's 946-3867.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. We're Cayman 27, Cayman Informed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the John Gray Memorial Church for the West Bay South Candidates Forum. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Kirkconnell. I'm the Vice President at the Chamber, and I will serve as a panelist this evening. For over 50 years, the Chamber of Commerce has been supporting, promoting, and protecting the interests of local businesses and the Cayman Islands community. This year, we've prioritized education as our key focus for 2017 and for the foreseeable future. We recently launched the Growth Matters Initiative, another educational campaign. You'll be seeing the campaign advertised, and we encourage everybody to visit growthmatters.ky. These candidates forums are another of many ways in which we aim to educate the community. These forums have been held since the 1980s, and they allow voters to meet their candidates and to learn more about their opinions and views. This year, the one-man, one-vote system has been implemented for the first time. We've also seen changes to the electoral districts with 19 constituencies and have been now having been identified. The Chamber is holding forums in each of these 19 constituencies, and tonight's forum is the 7th. It is more important than ever that voters meet their candidates. With only one vote, voters must educate themselves on their candidates to ensure that they are making an informed decision. Whilst not everyone will be able to attend these forums, they are being broadcast live on Cayman 27, so you'll be able to hear about your candidates from the comfort of your own home. The coverage of each forum will also be uploaded to the Chamber's YouTube channel and social media sites by the next day, so we can ensure that everybody has the opportunity to view each forum. Voter ID cards are now available for collection, and the locations for voting have been released. For those who are still unclear of where to vote or where to collect your voter ID, please visit www.caymanchamber.ky, where our elections page contains the information. Tonight, West Bay South candidates will be answering questions which we have developed from submissions from our Chamber members and the wider community. We will be accepting questions this evening too, but questions must be directed to all candidates. I would like to thank the Chamber staff for their hard work in organizing these forums, and I would like to thank Hurley's Media for broadcasting these forums live on Cayman 27 and online. I would also like to thank our corporate sponsors for their support, including the DART organization, Deloitte, Foster's IGA, Heritage Holdings, and Puritan Cleaners. Mr. Will Pinot, Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, will be tonight's moderator. He will explain the rules of the forum and will then introduce each candidate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, candidates. The forum rules are as follows. Each candidate will be asked a series of questions prepared by Chamber members and the general public. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to each question if you choose to do so. One ring will indicate that you have 30 seconds to conclude your response. 2 rings means that your response time has elapsed. Each candidate will be allowed to answer the question without interruption and is free to differ with an opinion or position of a fellow candidate during their allotted response time. The seating arrangements for the candidates on the stage were selected randomly by ballot. Candidates should deal solely with the issues. No personal attacks will be tolerated. And at the conclusion of question time, we'll ask for written questions from the audience. And again, I'd ask everyone to direct those questions to all of the candidates. And at the conclusion of the forum, each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes to deliver a closing statement. I will be back after this short commercial break to introduce the 4 candidates for the West Bay South constituency.
At Kirk's Home Center.
You can find everything to adapt, decorate, or furnish your home at Kirk Home Center. Discover every tool for any task in our hardware department. Fuel your imagination with our extensive range of housewares and linens. Create a home outside your house from our variety of outdoor living items. Or plan your next project in our paint and do-it-yourself section for the widest variety of stylish and up-to-date items for your home. Make Kirk Home Center your first choice.
We got a great deal in store for you.
Spa, located at the West End Grand Cayman, 7 Mile Beach Resort and Spa.
In a pot of boiling water, add red lentils and cook for 4 minutes. Strain and cool. Dice the celery, cucumber, and red onion. Finally chop the garlic and parsley and set all ingredients aside. In a mixing bowl, add cannellini beans, chickpeas, and red lentils. Add the diced and chopped ingredients and season with salt and pepper. Add the zest of 2 lemons and the juice of 1 lemon. Before serving, spoon the mixture on a bed of fresh arugula and enjoy.
Welcome back to the West Bay South District Forum, where we have 4 of the candidates for the district with us this evening. I'd like to introduce each one of them. The first candidate is John Jefferson Jr. John Jefferson Jr. served in the Legislative Assembly from 1988 until 2000. Mr. Jefferson has had a professional career spanning 4 decades, during which time he worked in the financial services industry for the national airline and alongside government. Mr. Jefferson is seeking election as a Cayman Democratic Party candidate for West Bay. Welcome, Mr. Jefferson.
Thank you.
Mr. Burns Rankin started his own electrical trade company. I'm sorry, I'm going out of order. Next is ladies, obviously, Miss Tara Rivers. She's currently serving in the Legislative Assembly as the Minister responsible for Education, Employment, and Gender Affairs. She's the 2nd elected member for West Bay and is the first female cabinet minister appointed for the district, as well as being the first female minister responsible for education. She's a qualified attorney, having attained a law degree, an MBA, and an LLB. Ms. Rivers is seeking a re-election as an independent candidate. For the candidate, an independent candidate for West Bay. My mistake. Next, we have Mr. Burns Rankin. Burns Rankin previously ran for election in 1992. He started his own electrical trade company, Rankin Electrical Services, and earned the Master Electrician title. He has used his experience to teach young Caymanians the electrical trade. Mr. Rankin is seeking election as an independent candidate for West Bay. And last but not least, Laurie Young earned a Bachelor of Science degree from the International College of the Cayman Islands and has used her degree in the financial services industry where she's employed. Ms. Young has served numerous district and national community organizations, including the West Bay Action Committee, the Girls Brigade, the Immigration Appeals Tribunal, and several others. Ms. Young is seeking election as an independent candidate for West Bay. Now turn over to Chris to pose the first question.
Now that Will has gone and made a couple mistakes, I don't feel too bad. I can ease up and relax a little bit. Mr. Jefferson, we're going to start with the first question with you. Explain why you have decided to run for election in 2017, and why should West Bay South voters support you as their candidate of choice?
Thank you, Chris. And before I answer the question, let me say welcome to the audience here this evening, and those who are listening to us by way of Radio Cayman and watching us by way of Cayman 27. The reason why I've offered my services again as a candidate is that because of the serious issues that are now facing our country. Issues such as crime, unemployment of Caymanians, and the plight of our public education system. I believe with my qualifications and experience, I'm in a position to offer solutions to those issues. And as far as why the people of West Bay should elect me again, is because I've served previously as a member of Parliament for 12 years, from 1988 to 2000. During that period of time, lots was accomplished, not only on a district level, but on a national level. In West Bay, for example, right now, you have your medical clinic, you have your licensing department, you have a hall for your public school. When I was elected first, our students were being housed in the old West Bay Town Hall, which is now the public library. And if you had an event, it was held on the West Bay Town Hall field, where, for example, you were subject to exposure to the elements, you know. So I believe that I have a lot to offer. People are excited about me being a candidate again. I look forward to serving them in the very near future.
Ms. Rivers, we'll move on for you to answer the same question. Explain why you have decided to run for election in 2017, and why should West Bay South voters support you as their candidate of choice?
Thank you very much, Chris, and also would like to welcome everybody here to the forum, the candidate forum for West Bay South. Everyone that's listening on Radio Land as well as watching us on TV. I want to say thank you to John Gray Memorial Church for actually hosting us here for this very, very important session to allow the voters an opportunity to hear directly from each of your prospective candidates. Chris, my decision to stand as a candidate for re-election in this year's election is very similar to the reason I decided to do so back in 2013, which was to present the community with a real option to get the real change that benefits Caymanians and all future generations to come. My purpose for being in this election is to continue to inspire hope, to continue to address the real issues in a way that brings about real solutions. For too long, we've heard and we will continue to hear a lot of political rhetoric. And we're hearing it, of course, more so now than usual, given that we are in a campaign. But I believe that the leadership that I have demonstrated, the political maturity I have been able to demonstrate in working with the government to bring forward the kinds of solutions to address the public education system, which I'm happy to talk about, I'm sure, in our conversations, issues dealing with labor and employment, and issues dealing with gender affairs. So in summary, I have a proven track record to say that you will elect somebody as a leader that you can trust to say what they mean and mean what they say and deliver on the promises made. Thank you.
Mr. Rankin, please explain why you have decided to run for election in 2017, and why should West Bay South voters support you as their candidate of choice?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out to the John Gray Memorial, which is my church. Thank them for allowing us to use this. Thank the Chamber of Commerce. The reason I run as a candidate for the District of West Bay South, I was born and raised here in this little village, and I think that the people in this area should have a voice, not only a voice when the leader of a party tells them to speak, but someone that can speak anytime. Education is very important to us. When we look around, we see so many people unemployed, some of the people coming out of the universities, coming back here, looking for a job, can't get a job, they're overqualified, they're underqualified, no experience. So many people lost their jobs because of things in the banks being redundant, can't find a job, no trade school to show them anything. Our kids coming out of school, 16 years of age, no trades. Some of them can't even read a measuring tape. That is bad education. Only reason that I stood here, I'm standing here, because I want to see better in our community, better in our country, and the young people of this country is the future of the Cayman Islands. And they're being left alone, dropping through the cracks, committing crime, and that is what happens to the country when people can't find jobs, they can't be skilled to take over these jobs. When you have to import 23,000 people here to fill jobs, and so many Caymanians are out of work, still there's 1,400 Caymanians out of work. No trade school.
You have 30 more seconds, if you'd like.
Sorry. I'm standing there, I'm supporting a trade school. And a trade school can be done in any district. It doesn't have to be a $60 million building. The people that's experienced, the plumbers, the electricians, the welders, the carpenters, can lend their knowledge, pass their knowledge down to our young Caymanians. But we can't get it done unless we have what? Qualifications. People want to train. People want work. That is what we're here for. And that's one of the reasons that I put myself in as a candidate, because I strongly support trade school.
Ms. Young, please explain why you have decided to run for election in 2017, and why should West Bay South voters support you as their candidate of choice?
Thank you. And good evening to everyone who is here tonight watching the forum, and also those who are listening live via Facebook or streaming. I believe that I am a qualified individual who has the right balance of skills and character traits that is required to be a good representative. Among other qualities in my possession, I listen and I apply analysis to the training that I derived in my financial services. Service is at the core ethos of who I am. I am a courageous, committed woman of faith, a woman of honesty, integrity, and people matter regardless of their humble origins and circumstances. These are some of the reasons why I have decided to offer myself up as a candidate for West Bay South. And I believe that together with my strong financial experience, financial services experience, and my commitment to the people of West Bay, this will make me a good representative for West Bay South. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Ms. Rivers, for question number 2, we'll be starting with you. Dart Real Estate wants to build a 5-star resort and residences with 225 rooms, 80 residences, and 10 villas in the West Bay South constituency. An economic impact study found that the project would contribute over $600 million to the economy during its 5-year development and construction. The project would create 800 new jobs during construction and 1,250 direct and indirect jobs once it is complete. Subject to the findings of an environmental impact assessment regarding the proposed site, would you support the construction of the new hotel?
Thank you for that question, Chris. The short answer is yes, but the subject to the environmental findings is a very important caveat. I believe that development in the West Bay South constituency is and has been the driving force behind especially the tourism product here in the Cayman Islands. We do have the longest coastline of any constituency, so obviously we are an attractive constituency as it relates to tourists and locals alike enjoying our waters. So I would certainly not support any initiative that is going to cut off our nose to spite our face, to use very colloquial terms, as it relates to damaging our environment in a way that is unsustainable for future generations. But with that said, as you said, subject to not having those potentially catastrophic events occurring as a result of the dredging or otherwise to support what is being planned, I believe what we have done as a government, and certainly as the Minister with responsibility for employment, I saw to it that with all development projects, that there were actually a contingency attached. There was a restriction, or I should say a condition attached to those concessions that may be given, which requires Caymanian employment. And that is the first time that any government has actually put any sort of conditions on development. We've had multiple developments on the West Bay Road. We've had the Ritz, we've had the Kimpton, with no such conditions put in place to ensure that Caymanians have actually gotten the jobs. So when we talk about 800 new jobs being created, that number sounds very exciting. Yeah. But we need to make sure that Caymanians and Caymanian labor benefits, and we have already done that by adopting a policy to ensure that concessions go hand in hand with the requirement for Caymanian employment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rankin.
I do support the DART relative to the building of a new 5-star hotel. I can say this, when DART builds something, he builds it good. He don't cut corners. Building this 5-star hotel will create jobs in the construction industry. What I want to know, when that hotel is finished, I want to see Caymanians open those doors, not people from another jurisdiction. I have nothing against them. So I would like to know that the Labour Minister here has something in place that when that hotel opens, Caymanians get first preference, then work permit holders. Construction industry, we have to bring in people because we don't have enough people skilled to do the jobs, to fill the 800 jobs. So there we go again, trade schools. No trade schools, it works down to work permits again. Another 800 work permits, 1,000 work permits. I have no problem supporting it, but I want to see these things put in place that when the hotel is finished, that we have Caymanians open the doors for our guests. Caymanians driving taxis from the airport, bringing the guests in. Caymanian cooks, Caymanian maids. That is what I want put in place.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question,
Yeah,
please?
sure. No problem. Mr. Rankin saved me a couple minutes. That's the longest one I think I've seen on the paper. So, but I'll happily repeat it for you. DART Real Estate wants to build a 5-star resort and residences with 225 rooms, 80 residences, and 10 villas in the West Bay South constituency. An economic impact study found that the project would contribute over $600 million to the economy during its 5-year development and construction. The project would create 800 new jobs during construction and 1,250 direct and indirect jobs once it is completed. Subject to the findings of an environmental impact assessment regarding the proposed site, would you support the construction of the new hotel?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I would support the construction of the new hotel. DART is the second largest employer of Caymanians in our community. However, as my other opponents have quite rightly said, that there should be a balance to ensure that there is Caymanians who are employed and who are at the front line of these hotels, not just during the construction stage, but once the hotel has been completed. I'm happy to hear that there have been concessions placed with this actually development. So we look forward to seeing that the fruition where Caymanians are the primary beneficiaries.
Thank you. Mr. Jefferson, Dart Real Estate wants to build a 5-star resort and residences with 225 rooms, 80 residences, and 10 villas in the West Bay South constituency. An economic impact study found that the project would contribute over $600 million to the economy during its 5-year development and construction. The project would create 800 new jobs during construction and 1,250 direct and indirect jobs once it is completed. Subject to the findings of an environmental impact assessment regarding the proposed site, would you support the construction of the new hotel?
I would, Chris, but I would insist that the restrictions or conditions are enforced. I had a friend of mine from West Bay who lives overseas now, visited recently, went down to the Kempton. He said, John, you mean you can't even find a few Cayman boys to put at the front door to open the door for you? What happens to governments is that, yeah, they give all these concessions, and once the concessions are given, there's no follow-up to make sure that the conditions that are attached to those concessions or developments are enforced, right? So it sounds good that you're going to create another 800 jobs during construction and 1,250 afterwards. But we have to ensure and insist that those jobs, as many of them as possible, go to Caymanians. For too long, I mean for the past 4 years, Caymanians have been sitting on the sideline watching the show go by. Okay? The Cayman Islands is a beautiful place. People come here from all over the world, and we have a reputation for social harmony and the whole bit. But we got to insist that that continues. And only how that is going to continue if our people enjoy their rightful share of what's going on in this country, financial or otherwise. You know, it sounds good. One thing I must say about Dart is that anything he does well. Okay? And I believe if government insists that our people are employed, then he would make an effort to make sure that it's done.
Mr. Ranking, we're moving on to the third question, and we're going to start with you on this round. What is your position on the construction of a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown?
I support a cruise berthing facility, but not in Georgetown. If anybody can see what a northwester does with 20 feet of water, dredge it 40 feet of water and put out there 60 feet of water, and I guarantee you'll be taking conchs out of the post office box. A cruise ship berthing facility needs to be in Spots or in Red Bay. For years, Captain Teo, Captain Paul Huddleston, all of our sea captains has told us not to build a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown. Now take, for example, all those captains that we have, Captain Banks, Captain McCoy. Companies, American companies, give them a vessel worth $500 million. Take care of this. They can take that any part of the world, deliver any type of cargo, take it back to the home port safely, but yet we cannot consult these guys to tell us where to put a cruise berthing facility. I do support the cruise berthing facilities, But like I tell you, you put it in Georgetown, something is going to happen. When you get a northwester, you get a hurricane like Hurricane Mitch going across there, 275 miles southwest of us, and hanging off there for 1 week. Then you see how much cruise ship dock you can have left, or how much Bayshore Mall you can have left, how much anything on our waterfront you can have left. So anybody that wants to put it there in Georgetown, they can do so. But I'll relax and sit back and see the damage that's going to happen.
Ms. Young, what is your position on the construction of a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown?
I do support a cruising berthing facility, but not in Georgetown. I think we should have one in Spots as well as one in Westby. Providing that there is a balance with ensuring that the dredging and the building of the berthing facility does not impact our environment. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Jefferson, what is your position on the construction of a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown?
Chris, until recently, I opposed the issue of cruise ship docking facilities. I worked around that area or in that industry for something like 18 months. And the arguments are that if you don't have these piers so cruise ships can come and dock up, that they're not going to come here. Let me just reveal a little secret to you. Any cruise line that takes the Cayman Islands off its itinerary, it's going to lose business. The Cayman Islands is one of the premier cruise ship destinations in the world, okay? It'll make it more convenient for the passengers to get on and off, yes. But, I mean, right now, for example, 15, 20 minutes by tender, you're shore anyway. Keep in mind one thing, that anything that the cruise ships do are in their interests, okay? I mean, I see it on a daily basis, the abuse, okay? It'll affect employment, because all those boys now who are working on the tenders, coming back and forth, bringing cruise ship passengers, will be unemployed, okay? They will spend less money on island, because if you can go back shore for lunch and come back, and then go back shore for evening, and the argument is also that they can be in port longer. I am still not convinced of the benefits beyond what we have at the present time, but if it's in the best interest of the islands, I support it. I support it. But I think that it should be a joint partnership with regard to financing, that the cruise ships has something
Thank you, Mr.
involved.
Ms. Rivers, what is your position on the construction of a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown?
Chris, I think it's important we take a step back before we even answer that particular question. The question that really needs to be answered when we talk about whether or not to construct a cruise berthing facility is whether or not we want to be in the cruise tourism business, period. And if the answer to that is yes, then I believe it is necessary for us to develop a cruise berthing facility. Cruise berthing facilities would accommodate the growing and increasing class and sizes of ships. If we want to stay relevant in the cruise tourism market, we need to make sure we can attract that population as well. The cruise tourism product provides employment for our local businesses. We have a land and sea co-op that is very heavily involved in the cruise industry. We have many local businesses here in West Bay South that really look forward to and rely on the support received from cruise tourism. So to say that we are not sure, are we ambivalent, is really not a position that we can afford to take as a government or as a country. If we are going to stay in this market, we need to ensure we put the facilities in place. But harkening back to my previous comment about the environmental impact, I am very, very concerned about making sure that whatever development we do, be it a cruise berthing facility or otherwise, is sensitive and sensible and takes into consideration the sustainability issues of our natural environment. So therefore, what the government is continuing to do is to make sure that we get solid advice as it relates to how to develop, how far out to develop, and whether or not that is the ideal or opportune place to develop. But in the short answer to that is, if we're going to stay relevant in cruise tourism, then we need to make sure that we provide the facilities in a way that we are doing right now by engaging the cruise ships themselves or the cruise companies to develop the public-private partnerships that have been mentioned. So again, it's not just about talking about the rhetoric, it's actually finding solutions to the problems and the issues that we know exist.
I'd like to thank the candidates. We've gone through the first 3 questions. We're going to take a short commercial break. Please stay tuned.
Spa, located at the West End Grand Cayman, 7 Mile Beach Resort and Spa.
Children are our future, so let's preserve the ecosystems of Cayman by using cleaner gas. Using propane releases 80% fewer harmful emissions into the environment and saves you significantly on your energy spent annually. Working with us during the entire process and our outstanding customer service will make you know that you made the right choice. By partnering with Pro Solar, we are also able to provide solutions for zero net energy homes. Clean gas, superior energy, the smarter choice.
It's a beautiful planet, and now you can see it right here on Cayman 27. In this series, we'll travel to some of the most fascinating places as we explore the UNESCO heritage sites found around the world. From Stonehenge to the Grand Canyon, there are thousands of sites that will leave you in awe. Beautiful Planet is a series that will take a closer look into these wonders of the world. Join us on Cayman 27, Mondays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 10:30 p.m. to witness this beautiful planet.
Have you had your Tortuga moment today? Come by Tortuga Fine Wine and Spirits for all your liquor needs and taste the world-famous Tortuga rum and rum cake. Baked fresh daily in the Cayman Islands. Enchanting, exotic, and always delicious. Like the moments you share and will savor forever. The taste of the Cayman Islands, remembering the time of your life over and over again. Such sweet surrender.
Welcome back to the West Bay South Electoral Constituency Forum. We have 4 of the candidates with us this evening: John Jefferson Jr., Tara Rivers, Burns Rankin, and Laura Young. We'll now turn over to the questions, the subject of public safety. I turn it back over to Chris.
Starting off, we're going to ask this next question to Ms. Young. Ms. Young, would you support increased foot patrols and a police presence along the West Bay Road and along 7 Mile Beach?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I would support foot patrol and increased policing along West Bay Road and definitely within the heart of West Bay and West Bay South and in the whole district, because I believe that this is one of the areas where the RCIPS is currently weak, and in order for crime to be reduced and be addressed, timely detected and prevented, we need to have an increase in the whole complement of the Royal Islands Police Force. And one of the areas, those 2 areas would be a start to ensuring that we get a better handle on addressing crime.
Thank you. Mr. Jefferson, would you support increased foot patrols and a police presence along West Bay Road and along 7 Mile Beach?
I definitely would, Chris. I've been calling for that and looking forward to it for a long time. I operate on the public beach at least once a week, and it's amazing. We're there from like 10 o'clock in the morning till 7, 8 o'clock at night, and you hardly see a police in a car or even on foot. And I think it's necessary for the establishment of a foot patrol, because how are you as a police going to establish a relationship with members of the public? You got to get their confidence. That's why I believe the RCIPS has such a difficult time solving crimes, because the people don't trust the police. They drive by in their air-conditioned cars and they hope that they look like they hope there's nothing wrong, because they don't spend much time there. Okay, I mean, you take the public beach. Thousands of visitors come there every week. Okay, you got drugs on the beach being sold. You got chaos on the beach. You know what I mean, from the operators there and taxis and tour operators and that type of thing. You need a presence, and the police, and as legislators, we've always made sure that they had the funding they needed. But I think the police has to be much more effective than they are with regard to dealing with the issue of crime.
Ms. Rivers, would you support increased foot patrols and police presence along the West Bay Road and along 7 Mile Beach?
Yeah.
Absolutely, Chris. I think that the interaction with the police has to be more positive and engaging, and not just when bad things happen. Mm-hmm. And I believe that if we have that easy accessibility of interacting with police either on foot or on bicycle, or in a way that you actually break down the anonymity. You get to know the individuals because they walk your beat and they're in your street. That will help to build the confidence in the community to know that this person is actually a part of the community. I believe this would be one way to help bring back that community spirit that is lacking in today's very fast-paced, very anonymous world. And so by having this kind of positive interaction with police, by seeing them in a way that you can actually engage them, would help to foster that sense of community and trust. And actually it goes hand in hand with what I have already suggested to the new Commissioner of Police when I had the opportunity to speak with him when he was introduced to Cabinet. And I made it very clear that I represented the District of West Bay, and I represented the district that has a real concern all throughout the district, but in particular West Bay South and the constituency, and the people that I spoke to up and down my walkabouts have indicated to me, doesn't matter where they live, if it's Safe Haven to Town Hall Road, they're all concerned about crime and the impact of crime. Yeah. So what we need is to create those social opportunities, a social club even that is facilitated by the RCIPS, so young people get to interact with them in a way that isn't always negative, isn't always aggressive or hostile, and they get to understand and appreciate what police do and appreciate them as individuals as well. I think if we can create that kind of an environment, we will have much more confidence in coming forward and reporting crimes and assisting the police in actually solving the crimes when they happen.
Yep.
Mr. Rankin, would you support increased foot patrols and a police presence along West Bay Road and along 7 Mile Beach?
I certainly would support the increase, but we need Caymanian police that know Caymanians, okay, that knows every little street. We have an international police force, Some people can't even speak our language. Some people don't care. It's just a job. We have to train our police properly. You can't train a police officer in 4 months opposite the governor's residence. And when he gets that training, he's out there. He knows nothing about the law. The only two laws he knows is marijuana and speeding. That's not a police officer. Years ago, when we trained police, we sent them away to the police academy for 2 years before they got back here. We need to do the same. We cannot train police officers in 4 months. I support the police foot patrols. I support everything to reduce crime. But we cannot reduce crime in our neighborhood unless we start getting Caymanian police officers that you can tell something to, and next 5 minutes, who you reporting is coming back and tell you that, you know, I heard you report me to the police. We have to stop that. Today, the police, this government, the PPM government, every police officer has a taxi license.
That's right.
So anytime you need help, call a taxi. And police is going to show up. Okay? This is how they reduce. This is how the PPM is going to reduce unemployment. Civil servants that already has a job paying $4,000 or $5,000 a month has a taxi license, cutting into the small slice that the taxes out there depending on yearly. And these guys can call in sick anytime. They got vacation, they got health benefits, but the taxi driver out there is struggling. So for you to get good policing, give up your taxi license.
Very true.
For the next question, Mr. Jefferson, we're going to start with you. The West Bay Police Station is situated in this electoral constituency. Would you seek to secure any additional funding to improve the facility if elected, and what improvements would you recommend?
Thank you, Chris. That is an issue that has been discussed and is part of our local district manifesto. It is deplorable. It has been promised many, many years, and it still hasn't been addressed. I think in order to be in a position where they can do their job properly, you need proper facilities for the police. And if you need to remand somebody, you have to have proper facilities for that as well. Because I don't know if they still remand people in that area, but I remember previously as a member visiting there, and it was deplorable. And I think we boast of a country being, you know, first class, outstanding financial center, one of the best in the world. We deserve better than that. And I guarantee you, Chris, that the CDP government, once we are elected after May 24th, will put that in place. We'll deal with that.
Ms. Rivers, the West Bay Police Station is situated in this electoral constituency. Would you seek to secure any additional funding to improve the facility, and what improvements would you recommend?
Thank you, Chris. As was said before me, this issue with the police station and the deplorable conditions that the servicemen have to work in on a day-to-day basis, those conditions have existed for many, many, many years, long before I was even interested in politics, much less involved in politics. And I certainly would look to help to address this by advocating for additional funding to address the needs that we know exist here in the District of West Bay, and in particular the District of West Bay South, as you said, it is situated. It is certainly something that I have already articulated in my campaign materials about one of the focus areas that I plan to focus on in the next term. And I think the people of West Bay South can have confidence in knowing that there also was a similar situation of deplorable conditions for our West Bay fire officers. Again, those officers were serving in health hazards for many, many, many years, long before I got involved in politics, but we have actually fixed those issues. We have ameliorated the air conditioning and other service conditions of which the fire officers have to work in. So we have found a problem and we have addressed the problem, and I certainly was very keen in advocating for those issues to be solved during this term. So when you hear me say that I will be doing a similar advocacy for the police station, you can have faith and confidence that you saw a deliverable for our fire station. I intend to do the same for our police station. Thank you.
Mr. Rankin, the West Bay Police Station is situated in this electoral constituency. Would you seek to secure any additional funding to improve the facility, and what improvements would you recommend?
Yes, I would seek additional funding to secure proper facilities there. That police station is really outdated, and I don't think government has enough property there to build a decent facility. So government will have to allocate property somewhere else to build a state-of-the-art police station. When you arrest someone, you should have decent facilities, because the humanitarian is going to come down on you if the lockup places are deplorable, and we need additional parking. Sometime when you have something in West Bay and you drive to the police station, their police cars are taking up all the parking. You got to park somewhere else. So you need a bigger area to do the police station. Somewhere in West Bay. It may not be adjacent to that, but you have to secure the property to build it, build the facilities. Whatever the police need, give it to them. If they can't do their job after that, then you have to protest against at the governor's residence with the governor, because she's responsible for police.
Thank you. Ms. Young, the West Bay Police Station is situated in this electoral constituency. Would you seek to secure any additional funding to improve the facility, and what improvements would you recommend?
Yes, I would seek to request additional funding because the West Bay Police Station has been deplorable for a very, very long time. The property next to the police station could be considered. We do need an increased complement of police, so the facility should be built to accommodate the increased complement of police officers that we also require at the West Bay Police Station, but a general overhaul of the building to ensure that it's no longer a health hazard to our community. So we need a bigger facility, as well as we need, as one of my opponents has rightfully said, the parking. The parking is something that has been inadequate for a very long time. And also, because the police station, the West Bay Police Station, is not up to standards, there's no prison lockup, and the prison lockup is not used, and the prisoners have to be transported to Georgetown. So there's a lot of reasons why I would support additional funding to ensure that we bring the West Bay Police Station up to the standard that it needs to be.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've got this time. We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be right after these. We'll be back right after these messages. Tongue twister.
We've already talked about how to grow the Tier 3 economy. Now, let's look at how to grow the economy in Tier 2. Remember, Tier 2 companies provide goods and services to local companies here in the Cayman Islands. So how can we help these companies grow? Let's look at a great example of a Tier 2 company, a commercial landlord. A commercial landlord owns office buildings and rents out the space to other businesses. What would increase demand for office space? Well, if a company lowers the rent or spends more on advertising, it might win more tenants, but only at the expense of some other landlord losing theirs. That's not economic growth. The only thing that will grow the commercial leasing sector as a whole would be an increase in demand for office space. In other words, new companies starting up or existing companies growing and hiring more staff. No matter what type of Tier 2 company you think about, by definition, its growth depends on the growth of other companies. And again, if a new commercial landlord came along, that wouldn't represent economic growth. because they would just take demand away from all the others. That's not growing the pie. That's just giving everyone a smaller slice. In the next video, we'll look at how to grow the economy in Tier 1, the most important tier of all for our economy. For now, thanks for watching. And remember to share this video with your family and friends so they can learn more about our economic prosperity engine.
Many women have a hard time talking about their gynecological health. But poor gynecological health can lead to many other issues. Here are some tips. Practice safe sex. Work out regularly. Practice your Kegel exercises. These are exercises that can improve the tone of the muscles in the pelvic area. And be sure to visit your gynecologist annually for an exam and recommended screenings that can identify any potential issues early.
Visit the local Cayman Islands office at Governor Square or call 749-3304.
If you're looking for extra savings and free benefits
with car insurance
and home insurance,
Brit K has just the cover you need.
There's a free $250 gift voucher for new home insurance customers too, and 10% car insurance discount if you have home insurance.
With a claim service that's quick and friendly.
We call it Cover Without Added Costs.
Call for a quote on 949-8699 or visit britk.ky.
Brit K, where people come first.
C3 Pure Fiber broke the Caymanian record of the first 100% fiber optic network. Do you know what it feels like to be fiber fast? It feels like this, like your whole life passing beneath your fingertips, like your world is living with you, like everything in your whole life is always connected. We are a new breed of connectivity, and we are ready for you. TV from $59, internet from $69, bundles from $89, and home phone from $9. Join us today, 333-3333 or c3.ky.
Make the most of your morning at Burger King with Burger King's unbeatable breakfast special. 2 croissants for just $4. Take 2 bacon, egg, and cheese croissants, 2 sausage, egg, and cheese, or mix and match. Add a refreshing OJ or delicious hash browns, plus tea or coffee for a true breakfast of champions. 2 croissants for just $4, available until 10:30 weekdays and 11 a.m. on weekends. Only at Burger King. 7 Mile Beach, Waterfront, Walkers Road, Town Center Plaza, and now Red Bay.
Some say the time of miracles is past, but we see miracles all around us, every day. Some could not walk. Some could not breathe. Some had lost all hope. But something amazing happened. Something that can't be analyzed or quantified. Something that is more than good medicine. Holy Cross.
You might not often see us, yet we're always passing through, hidden in the background of everything you do. Who are we? We're Home Gas, the clear choice.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. We're Cayman 27, Cayman Informed.
Welcome back to the John Gray Memorial Church Hall. We now move on to the subject of education.
To start this next section, Ms. Rivers, you'll get the first question. Would you support a public-private partnership in the management and oversight of the public school system?
Thank you for that question, Chris. Chris, as Minister with responsibility for education, I have actually made that possible by implementing a law or bringing forward the new Education Law 2016 that specifically contemplates having public-private partnerships in education in a way that has never existed before. There had been lots of talk recently about the need to ensure that we develop a new model for education, and until most recently, it was just that. We weren't in a position to do anything because we didn't have the legislative framework to support it. So certainly it is something that I campaigned on as it relates to looking at improving our education model, improving our education system, and I've gone so far as to actually conduct a governance review to give us some examples of how such partnerships could actually function and could actually work. The key to education is consistency, and I think we need to stress that, because making sure that we don't use our children as political footballs is absolutely critical to the success of any system that we adopt. And so making knee-jerk reactions is also equally not favored or shouldn't be pursued. We need to have the proper analysis done. We need to understand that any decisions we make in education have to be research-based, they have to be evidence-based, and they have to be proven effective. There are a number of models out there that are money-making machines, and we certainly don't want to go that route because our children aren't commodities. There are a number of models out there that promise you the world and have delivered nothing. As Minister with responsibility for education, every decision that I've taken or that I've driven or that I have received in terms of advice from my team has been evidence-based. But to answer your question about public-private partnerships, we can now have that conversation in earnest because of the legislative framework which is now in place as a result of my leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rankin, would you support a public-private partnership in the management and oversight of the public school system?
Mr. Kokona, no. The reason why? I went through the public schools. We have good schools. What we need here is Caymanian teachers. Understand? Go through the schools, see how many Caymanian teachers we have. Caymanian teachers are caretakers of our kids. When we're at work, they take care of our children. The teachers that we get today, most of them are here for what? Rum, fun, and sun. The Cayman Islands government gives every private institution somewhere in the region of $250,000 to $500,000 a year, private schools. What we need for our education system, all of these retired teachers that have 20, 30 years experience, we need an education board. We need teachers setting the curriculum for our schools, not lawyers, accountants, and whoever become education ministers. Because education has become in the Cayman Islands a public football. And we need to educate our young people. This is what is happening to our country. This is why crime is stemming here, because some people don't care. It's just like anything else. It's just a job. So until we put an education board in place, all these retired teachers we have here, let them set the curriculum. They have the experience of what happened in the schools. They know why this one is not learning, it's a bit slow. They can solve the problem. Every one of our children is supposed to come out of high school, be able to read and write and fill out an application form to get a job. Until we do that, we can have the same problem. Because if Ms. Rivers is not returned back to the education and someone else is there, then it's a political football again.
Thank you. Ms. Young, would you support a public-private partnership in the management and oversight of the public school system?
I would support a public-private partnership provided that it does not leave any child behind, that we ensure that all children, irrespective of their social, economic background or class, is provided the same opportunities as every other child, that we would have qualified teachers that are able to identify children that have special needs that need to be addressed, that we need actually to ensure that we also have the adequate support staff for the reception areas. The other area which I feel that the public-private partnership support would assist the education system is ensuring that there is adequate teachers within the early childhood years to address and detect the issues from early childhood. I believe that's where there needs to be some strengthening, and that's where the support staff would assist. Public-private partnerships are, in principle, a good addition to the education system, but we must ensure that in practice our Caymanian children, all Caymanian children, must benefit from this, and that it does not add a further separation because we are focused on including others to partner with us in a public school education.
Thank you. Mr. Jefferson, would you support a public-private partnership in the management and oversight of the public school system?
I definitely would, Chris, because the present model isn't working. If you don't believe what I'm saying, I would like for anyone in the audience to volunteer. Go to John Gray High School and sit down in one of those classes and see what goes on. Okay. We need, first of all, and you know, in the Cayman Islands, we're known for talking about issues, not addressing issues, not coming up with solutions. Okay. The first thing that has to be done, we have to provide or restore discipline in the classrooms. And I'm not looking to get any brownie points about education, because this is an issue that I feel passionate about, okay? There are too many Caymanians who can't afford to send their children to private schools. So you have to have a public education system that works. At the present time, it's not working. I think you can involve the private sector, you know, do a private public partnership. Have a board that's established to run the schools, the system. And make sure you're very careful with regard to recruiting teachers. Encourage Caymanians to go in the field, but at the present time, until we solve the situation in those schools, I would not encourage Caymanians, because they get a qualification, they go into public schools, they don't stay because of the situation. Okay? So we need solutions. If we never address the issue, then you will never come up with a solution. At the present time, we have a serious crisis on our hands with regard to public education.
For the next question, Mr. Rankin, we'll be beginning with you. There has been much discussion about the need to increase vocational and technical opportunities for Caymanians. What proposals would you recommend to increase the number of Caymanians pursuing studies in these areas?
First of all, we need to have decent facilities here to vocational training. We have to let our young people know not everyone you come out of high school is going to be a lawyer, a doctor, a banker, or accountant. These skills you can develop. You can earn more money than most lawyers start off at. Yeah. Electrician, a welder, a plumber earns good money, but it's never taught in school how much money you can earn being self-employed or working for a company. These are the things that need to be taught in school. If you take all these guys and you put them into to these trade schools, they can come out having a trade. They might develop and want to further their education to go to UCCI, that's fine. But they're learning a trade and they're earning a living. Because most people, you learn more outside the classroom when you're in school. When you're out into the real world, that's when you start to get educated. You mightn't get a certificate for it, but you get educated. So I am fully behind a trade school. And a trade school doesn't have to be a $50 million building. A trade school can be in each district. We have classrooms at night, locked up, doing nothing. People are willing to volunteer. I can find 10 to 15 volunteers in West Bay right now to teach electrical, plumbing, air conditioning, repairing irons, whatever you want. We had it. I did that with Alan Moore. Until today, Alan Moore hasn't got any resources to help it with whatever he was doing before. So I am all for behind technical schools and vocational training. I am 110% behind it.
Thank you. Ms. Young, there's been much discussion about the need to increase vocational and technical opportunities for Caymanians. What proposals would you recommend to increase the number of Caymanians pursuing studies in these areas?
I would first ensure that our early primary school years, we assessed and identify children where they may be needing to pursue these types of studies. I also would encourage parents to speak to their children about our historical culture of seafaring heritage, where our country was built by men who learnt the trades overseas. And I think that to encourage people in these areas, it has to start from home. As far as where we would have them, I think one of my opponent has already mentioned it. I definitely support a marine trade school, and we do have facilities in the interim to provide necessary vocational training studies. I do know that there are some existing vocational training that's also going on at ICCI as well, and I would support the continuance of these training programs, but with one stipulation, that once all of these Caymanian young adults are trained, that there is and certified in certain areas, that there are jobs available for them to assume once they are trained. We have actually seen in the past with our hospitality training school where people were encouraged and certified, but then they were unable to acquire and secure a job.
Thank you. Mr. Jefferson, there's been much discussion about the need to increase vocational and technical opportunities for Caymanians. What proposals would you recommend to increase the number of Caymanians pursuing studies in these areas?
Thank you, Chris. This issue is also one of our manifesto issues that we intend to implement or put in place once we are elected as a government. A trade school is absolutely necessary. And you know what happened to us, because our two pillars of the economy is finance and tourism. A lot of our people have been taught or brainwashed into thinking that's the only areas that you can find a decent job in. Let me tell you, as an electrician, a plumber, AC technician, those guys make good money. They're in high demand. Okay? So we need to establish a trade school, and like the others say, we don't need to build no fancy building for that. You know, utilize our classrooms that are closed after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? Right in your district. Okay? I would dare say that the majority of our work permits are in this area, okay? And at present time, what happens if you have a desire of going in this area, you have to go overseas. Who wants to go to Jamaica to learn a trade, or some of the other countries? We should have those facilities right here. Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Rivers, there's been much discussion about the need to increase vocational and technical opportunities for Caymanians. What proposals would you recommend to increase the number of Caymanians pursuing studies in these areas?
Thank you, Chris. And I certainly agree. There has been much discussion for many, many, many years. And if you go back to many, many, many manifestos, you see many, many, many promises of establishing a trade school. So I just want to say right off the bat, a trade school is definitely one solution that could be employed. But given our history of talking about it, and given our history as successive governments for decades not doing anything to actually address it and implement it, it cannot be the only solution. And what I have actually done as a member of the government, and in particular in this particular area, having responsibility for education and training and development of our people, I have demonstrated that we can actually implement programs right now that benefit our people. We have increased the offerings of high school classes by 20 classes, specifically dealing with TVET, hospitality, hair and beauty, creative media, automotive, construction, art and design. We have also significantly increased scholarships for this area, including this area. We've gone from 844 students back in 2013 when I took office to now 1,456 students on government scholarships. That is 42% increase. And that includes TVET scholarships which weren't available prior to me taking office. What we've actually done is we've launched a national internship and apprenticeship training programs, implementing over 10 programs which have to date benefited over 1,000 Caymanians. We have established a public-private partnership in the National Training Council to develop these programs across various industries, but we've also established an apprenticeship for our high school students in construction, working with PWD, so when they graduate from high school, they will have the technical skills, the qualification, and the experience to gain actual jobs in construction. I could go on, Will, but my 2 minutes won't allow me, so you can hear me on the campaign trail more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rivers.
Thank you very much. We're now going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have some audience questions.
Is getting smaller.
We travel more.
We see more.
We do more.
So you need a bigger health plan like Premier Health.
You have easy access to benefits at home.
1 million U.S. providers accept your ID card
for college, vacation, and business travel.
With 24/7 worldwide assistance,
U.S. pharmacy benefits,
and 96% of claims settled in 5 days,
Premier Health offers you the care you deserve.
Brit K, where people come first.
BritK.ky.
Waste Carriers is your complete waste management company. We service commercial, residential, and construction properties. With our large inventory of dumpsters and grapple truck services, we provide an unmatched, dependable service. Our sister company, Island Recycling, buys and collects recyclables such as AC units, aluminum cans, auto batteries, copper, and much, much more. For Cayman's waste and recycling solution, one call takes care of it all. Call 946-DUMP. That's 946-3867.
Get ready to laugh as TV's funniest hidden camera show will have you in stitches. Just for laughs, the Laugh Out Loud comedy show catches unsuspecting people in some of the funniest situations. It's just for laughs, and it's only here on Cayman 27.
Every Wednesday and Saturday, don't miss Extra Time, the football show that goes beyond the goals and brings you in-depth coverage of all things football. Find out about your favorite team, catch up with the players, and see what's trending in the world of football. And of course, some of the best goals you've ever seen. Extra Time on Cayman 27, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 5 p.m.
Welcome back to the West Bay South electoral constituency, where we have the 4 candidates. They've fielded a lot of questions already, but now we're going to turn it over to the audience for their questions. We've got several questions on education, some on crime, and also some social issue questions. So we're going to do our best over the next 20 minutes to ask as many as we can. So I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, and we'll be starting with Ms. Young with this question. With a substantial increase in child molestation and sexual abuse cases, what is your stance on increasing the sentences of such malicious crimes? What would you propose to put in legislation to deter these crimes, protect the victims, and give comfort to the victims and families affected by these criminal acts?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Sure. With the substantial increase in child molestation and sexual abuse cases, what is your stance on increasing the sentences of such malicious crimes? What would you propose to put in legislation to deter these crimes, to protect the victims, and give comfort to the victims and families affected by these criminal acts?
I would definitely support legislation that increases the time spent that supports the increasing of prosecution against individuals who perpetuate these crimes. I think also what has to happen is that we need to work with the Department of Social Services to ensure that there is early intervention into these homes, and also identify early when the children are being abused. That would be my approach.
Thank you. Mr. Jefferson, with the substantial increase in child molestation and sexual abuse cases, what is your stance on increasing the sentencing of such malicious crimes? What would you propose to put into legislation to deter these crimes, protect the victims, and give comfort to the victims and families affected by these criminal acts?
Thank you, Chris. First of all, the abuse of our children are on the increase. It's a serious problem in this country. And what's happening when you do catch or detect a few people who are abusers, they go before the courts and they get community service, minimum sentences. I would definitely increase the sentences, and I'm talking about mandatory minimum sentences. So anybody who touches a child will pay for it. Big time. Big time. Okay? So whatever has to be done legislative-wise, I would support, because we have to protect our children.
Thank you. Ms. Rivers. With the substantial increase in child molestation and sexual abuse cases, what is your stance on increasing the sentencing of such malicious crimes? What would you propose to put into legislation to deter these crimes, protect the victims, and give comfort to the victims and families affected by these criminal acts?
Thank you, Chris. Molesting or abusing a child has to be the most heinous crime that anyone can commit. I supported the legislation which came before the House recently, which the government brought and passed to allow for protection orders to be made when there are any sort of suspicion even of such abusers being amongst and preying on our children. I certainly would look to support increasing penalties in this area. I would like to sit here and say with confidence that the increasing incidents or the increase in reporting of these incidents is because these incidents are increasing in our community, but the reality is we've had this situation in our community for a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. And what we need to do is own up to the fact that we know people that may be perpetrators, and we need to stand up and we need to speak up and we need to say that is not tolerable in our community. If we turn a blind eye to our neighbor or our neighbor's neighbor, then we're just as bad as the perpetrators themselves. And so, again, within the sphere that I had direct responsibility for in education, we have actually included child protection training specifically in all of the schools to help our teachers, to help our educators to become more aware of how to detect and how to help victims in this situation. We've also provided for sexual trauma counseling for victims and for family members as well. So again, it's about not just talking the talk and recognizing an issue that we have had for far too long. It's about having leaders that are willing to take a step and do something about the problem.
Mr. Rankin, with the substantial increase in child molestation and sexual abuse cases, what is your stance on increasing the sentencing of such malicious crimes? What would you propose to put into legislation to deter these crimes, protect the victims, and give comfort to the victims and families affected by these criminal acts?
Thank you, Mr. Cocarno. When someone abuses your child, and it's very serious, very bad. When someone abuses their own child, that's low as you can go. The legislation that I would put in for that, zero tolerance, 25 years to life. Prison budget cut by 50%. So your family has to feed you. It's no more boneless USDA choice, no more pizza, no more Haagen-Dazs ice cream. You pay the penalty for what you've done, child abuse. So that's what I say, 0 to life in Northwood Prison with sardines as your main course. Okay? That is going to deter the people here. When you go to Northwood, you get treated better than you get at the Kimpton. Yes. And that is why we got Northwood is a revolving door, and we as legislators has to cut that prison budget to deter crime, not only child abuse, but any type of crime. It has to be cut. When you spend $70,000 on a prisoner and less than $10,000 on a child, something is wrong with our parliament. Yep.
Moving on with our audience questions. Mr. Jefferson, the next question starts with you.
Okay.
If elected, would you leave the pension law as it is?
No. No. I think it's important. I think the idea behind a pension law was a good one. And that people need to think in terms of their future. Rainy days, yeah. But what happened, there was a big article today in the Cayman Free Press that something like 2,500 people, there's a good possibility that they will leave at the end of this year before the new amendments to the pension law come into effect, and that they will not be able to carry the money with them when they return home. This is also an issue that we intend to address. We support the idea that when a foreign worker completes his term of employment, or his or her term of employment here in the Cayman Islands, they should be given a check to take with them with regard to their savings. Okay? We can't abuse people. And that's what has happened with regard to people on work permits. That is why we have that's one reason why we have so many work permits. We want people here that we can control. Okay, we can tell them when they get up, when to go to sleep, what to do, when to come. And what I'm saying is, as a country, the Cayman Islands, we've always been known for our kindness, our generosity, and we have to have a social conscience. And I support the idea that when somebody leaves this country, they should be able to carry their savings with them. The pension law, with regard to the investment side of it, hasn't worked. I understand the other day something like over $200 million has been lost.
Thank you, Mr. Jefferson.
Okay, so we need to do something about the pension law.
Ms. Rivers, if elected, would you leave the pension law as it is?
Thank you, Chris. The pension law, the amendments to the pension law today have addressed some long-standing issues from the time the pension law was introduced. I think what we just heard, Mr. Kirkconnell, with all due respect, there was an inherent contradiction in what was said in defining what a pension is and then expecting what a pension should be. We heard that pensions are for savings for retirement, for a rainy day, for the golden years. But yet we also heard that expatriate workers, and I stress that because what we heard was a party that is prepared to put foreign workers first above our own Caymanians when it comes to dealing with a pension law change that was necessary to begin with to equal and level the playing field. Pensions are for retirement. It doesn't matter where you retire. That is the purpose of a pension. That is the policy of a pension. And that provision runs contrary to what a pension is. That particular provision that is causing so much controversy, and quite frankly, I am astonished that any party could stand up and say we are fighting for the rights of expatriates at the detriment of our own people and expect to get elected. I would absolutely not change that provision because I think that provision has been well documented, has been well, we actually consulted with the industry, we consulted with the government. That change to that law wasn't a change brought about by Tara Rivers. That change to that law was brought about by the government of the Cayman Islands, of which I am a member, but we certainly went high and wide, up and down this country, and we met with various organizations, and everybody that understands the principle of a pension understands that pensions are for retirement, and retirement is wherever you are, and those persons can get that money upon retirement in a lump sum, or they can get payments from the Cayman Islands, however they choose.
Thank you, Ms. Rivers.
Mr. Rankin, if elected, would you leave the pension law as it is?
I would certainly make some changes, but there are some questions. Why are we paying pension to private companies when pension is mandatory by law for the government? Private companies are investing your money, charging you 12 cents on every dollar to take your money and gamble it away on New York Stock Exchange.
True.
Okay? When thousands of Caymanians are here losing their homes, that money could be invested here in the Cayman Islands Development Bank for small businesses, or a national housing corporation that could be earning money, giving Caymanians 35 to 40 years mortgage that the banks are calling on, and if they miss one payment, to take their homes. So I do not support the pension, because all we're doing is paying someone to gamble our money away on the stock market.
True.
So the pension law would definitely have to change. I am not supporting it, and I think anything that's mandatory, government is going to be responsible for a lot of people when they retire and there's no money. Social services going to have a budget of $500 million alone. So somebody needs to do something with this. and I do not support it, and I think that money should be brought back into the Cayman Islands. Why are we investing over $1 billion overseas, and here we are calling in investors, need inward investment, give you the concession, and we got $1 billion overseas? That's not smart. I don't care which government it is. So I'm not supporting it.
Ms. Young, if elected, would you leave the pension law as it is?
I think there needs to be some further amendments to enhance the pension law whereby Caymanians are receiving more benefits. I certainly believe that we should also be investing our monies inward. The law as it stands currently are benefiting more the service providers and the investment managers. And I think that we can actually invest in our Cayman bonds as well as our Cayman money movement. So those are the changes that I would propose to the existing pension law, sorry.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after some short commercial breaks with more audience questions. Please stay with us.
It's fresh, fresh from the garden, it's fresh, fresh from the baker, it's fresh, fresh from the fisherman, always at Hurley. It's fresh, fresh from the butcher, it's fresh, fresh from the deli, it's fresh, fresh from the summer rain, always at Hurley.
At Hurley's, everything is fresh, and we mean everything.
We believe that every life matters and that we are all connected. One community, one people. We believe in compassion to give dignity to those that society has let down. We strive to conquer fear, and we believe that the power to heal is a gift. This is who we are. This is what we believe. Holy Cross.
Are you looking for amazing deals, great products, or instant cash? Then look no further than Cash Whiz. We sell quality, pre-owned items at amazing prices, such as cell phones, laptops, jewelry, high-end watches, cars, boats, and so much more. We also buy items. Just got the latest smartphone and not sure what to do with your latest model? Then bring it to us for instant cash. In need of some quick cash but don't want to sell your items? Then use our buyback option. We will purchase your item at a price and then hold it for 30 days, which then you can buy the item back within the time frame or pay a fee to extend the time period. Almost any item can be used. We also offer a layaway program. See an item that you like but need extra time before purchasing? Then pay 25% down and we'll hold the item for up to 90 days. We can also sell items for you. Cash Whiz. Visit us today.
Welcome back to the John Gray Memorial Church Hall. We've gone through many questions, many topics. I'd like to thank the candidates so far. We're going to take a couple more audience questions, and then we'll go to closing remarks. Turn it back over to Chris.
Thanks, Will. Ms. Rivers, we're going to start this segment with you. For those who qualify for Cayman status, how would you improve or advance the requirements?
Sorry, can you just repeat the question?
For those applying for Cayman status, how would you improve or advance the requirements?
Okay, that's a little different. So for those who are applying, how would I improve upon those requirements? I believe that it is absolutely critical that when you put forward to request the right to be Caymanian, you also need to have the responsibility and take on and be willing to take on the responsibility of being Caymanian. And one of those responsibilities would include making sure that you learn an appreciation and demonstrate an appreciation for who we are as a people. I believe And that is why certainly one of the changes that were made to the education law to ensure that going forward, expatriate children, Caymanian children, it doesn't matter who you are. If you go to school in this country, you are now going to be taught and to learn an appreciation for Caymanian culture and Caymanian history. And therefore, I believe that as persons who want to take on that right, they must also have an appreciation and want to be able to demonstrate further integration and respect for the community. I believe also that the community service is important, but I believe giving back and demonstrating that you have tried to bring forward a Caymanian either in the employment sphere, if you were here working in a capacity that you can provide training opportunities, that is absolutely critical. The model that we're trying to create is the public-private partnership in education and training, and it requires people actually coming forward to facilitate that. So if you can demonstrate that you have been active in bringing forward a Caymanian to upskill, to train, to help qualify a Caymanian who will then create the workforce that you are now becoming a part of as Caymanian, then I think certainly that is an area that I would support in seeing how we can strengthen that particular criteria.
Mr. Rankin, for those who apply for Cayman status, how would you improve or advance the requirements?
Cayman status. Why they want Cayman status? Number one, I would go back to the days of Mr. Benson and them, like what he said. When his father dredged at Kingston Harbor, you came there to do a job. After your job is finished, you don't have no rights here. You did your job. So why everybody wants Cayman status here? When they get in here and become Caymanian, they want to change, they want to bring their culture. They want to tell you what you should do. And when you give all of these people Cayman status, what happens to the Caymanians? They don't have no chance to climb up the ladder, climb the corporate ladder. So these people have an advantage on us already. So when you give them Cayman status, when you have a young Caymanian that's moving into the corporate world, and you give his boss Cayman status, how is he going to get that boss job? I think Caymanian status should be given only to doctors, teachers, and the rest of the people coming to this country. You come to do a job. You left your country to come here to do a job. We never promised you Cayman status. We promised you a job for 7 years. And that's all I would give you, 7 years.
Ms. Young, for those who apply for Cayman status, how would you improve or advance the requirements?
I believe that we should increase the number of years that a foreign person is living here in the Cayman Islands before we consider. I'd like to see us go back to when the individuals reach the number of years, perhaps from 7 to maybe 15 years. I know that's a long time, but it's something that we should definitely discuss to see where we are as a country with increasing the number of years. But we should go back to posting their picture in the Caymanian Compass, whereby everybody is aware of who we're about to give the status to, so that there can be a fair objection should it be necessary. I think also that in addition to what my other opponents have said, we need to carefully scrutinize how they are integrated into our society. Are there people who we really want to integrate into our society? And certainly within the process of screening them, we should do a more in-depth background at the time of their applying for status. And there are far too many individuals who will find ways within the law to circumvent their commitment to community service. And I think that there are instances where many individuals will get the status based on number of years of community service, when in fact they're never going to do it again after they receive the status. I also would like to add that further add to the point that's already been made by the Honourable Minister Tara, that they really need to learn about our culture. They need to understand who we are and appreciate who we are. And we do have individuals who have been granted status before, which really, truly love the Caymanian people and have integrated into the society.
Thank you. Mr. Jefferson, for those who apply for Cayman status, how would you improve or advance the requirements?
Chris, what I would do if I was in charge would be limit the number of future issuance of Cayman statuses. I think personally that the law right now is that someone can live and work here for 9 years with no problem. I think that's a long time. And I think the area that we should be encouraging people to come here from is the area of retirees. People who have money can come in, buy a place, have evidence that they can support themselves financially, so they don't have to compete with other people here with regard to employment. I think, I know places like Panama, they make, it's amazing what they have done to attract people from especially the United States who are retirees, because people are looking for places where they can go and retire that is safe, is harmonious, the people are nice, and it's a good environment. And what better place to retire than in the Cayman Islands?
Thank you, Mr. Jefferson.
Well, I'd like to thank the candidates. We've reached that stage in the forum where we're going to move into closing remarks. And each candidate has 2 minutes for a closing statement. And we're going to begin as our candidates have been seated. We'll begin with Mr. John Jefferson, Jr.
Thank you, Will, and thank you, Chris, for hosting the Chamber of Commerce Forum here in the West Bay this evening. I also want to thank those of you who came out to listen to what had to be said, or what was said. And those who have listened to us by way of Radio Cayman and maybe by way of Cayman 27. I want to also thank the people of West Bay South who are here this evening, and I see many of them. And just to add, we are known here for our talk. I'm a man of action. I get things done. And if you want someone after May 24th who will be a representative that you can count on, that you can reach by way of telephone or come to see me in present, I'll be the man. It'll be an honor to serve as the representative for the West Bay South constituency here in West Bay. And what I like about the present system that we're going into is that you can hold your representative accountable over the next 4 years for what he or she does. I support that 100%. And I guarantee you, and I applaud those who have placed their confidence in myself, that I will be a true, genuine candidate and representative once I'm elected that will promote and protect the interests of you who are here, working among us, living among us, and also own local Caymanians. I make you that promise.
Ms. Tara Rivers.
Thank you. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event and for the businesses that have saw fit to sponsor this event. I also want to thank everyone that came out to witness and those of you listening by whichever medium. And I also want to thank the panelists I think this has been a very lively discussion, very spirited discussion at times, but also a very respectful discussion. And I think it just goes to elevate politics in the country and saying that we can agree and disagree, but still do so with diplomacy. Will, I came across a very interesting quote, and it says, "A good leader takes a little more than his," and I added, "or her share of blame, and a little less of his or her share of the credit." Leadership is not a popularity contest, and winning elections should not be based on making empty promises year after year or election cycle after election cycle. Oftentimes, leadership requires tough decisions to be made, and sometimes politically unpopular decisions. But if those decisions are in the best interests of the people of this country and in the country as a whole, that is what we were elected to do. We were elected to lead, but to also serve. And the servant leader model is certainly the leadership model that I have lived by all of my life. And I will give you that continued commitment that I am here to serve the people of West Bay South, but I have demonstrated that I am prepared, willing, and able to take the tough decisions on your behalf for the betterment of your lives. Because serving the people does not equate to pandering to the people. And I want people to really, really understand the difference there, especially during an election cycle. I am not here to win an election at all costs. I am here to continue to serve you and to do the best of my ability to represent you and to benefit you and your children in particular. Because true leaders focus not just on the next election, but on the next generation. Thank you.
Mr. Burns-Rankin.
I would like to thank all the sponsors. I would like to thank Mr. Panu, Mr. Kukurna, the elders of the John Gray Memorial Church for the use of their property. And I would like to thank the community for coming out here, those who's listening to Radio Cayman, and those who are watching their televisions in the comfort of their own homes. As a candidate in this election, I put myself forward because I know I am an honest, hard-working individual, and in my constituency here in West Bay South, which I was born and raised and grew up, I don't need a tour guide to show me around my neighborhood, so I can represent you people here. I'm not looking power. I just want to be a representative. I can represent you day, night, it doesn't matter. Being a representative is a part-time job because every politician has their own businesses going. Representative must be the voice of the people, not someone to speak every 16 years on an issue that you should have done the first term that you got elected. We've seen people spoke on things that happened to this country 16 years ago, and they just realized today that, oh, I don't have a job. Oh, let me campaign on this, see if I can get reelected. That's not a representative. A representative must be your voice in Parliament at all times, during the storm, after the storm. I put myself forward, and I know the people of this West Bay South can have every confidence in me. They can come to my home day or night. They did it after Hurricane Ivan. I couldn't sleep. I was there. I delivered. So I can do the same thing in the Legislative Assembly for you after May the 24th. Thank you.
Ms. Laura Young.
I would like to thank the Chamber, Mr. Kukurna and Mr. Panu, and also my fellow panelists for an interesting discussion. I would like to thank the West Bay South people for coming out to show the support to all of us here. And I would like to say that I made a decision to offer myself up as a representative for West Bay, the District of West Bay and West Bay South, because I am a compassionate person, and service is at the ethos of my life and a part of my core human existence. I believe that the perspective of a woman is critical to any part of human existence. And in this case, and very important, women are a part of the decision, that there should be women who are a part of the decision-making process in this country. For too long, too few women have represented us in the government of the Cayman Islands. There's family and children, emerging adults who need that support, who need that voice for the people. There are at-risk youth who have serious matters which all of these require a woman's presence in the government of the Cayman Islands and making the decisions. And a woman cannot be absent and should not be absent from this process. The business direction in education, health, and security cannot be made in a room full of men. I am a part of the solution. I'm a part of the present. I'm a part of the past, and I intend to be a part of the future. Time is our most valuable commodity. We have no time to lose to get to where we want to get to. It is my children, it is your children, it's our future that's in the balance right now. So on May the 24th, please remember number 4 on your ballot paper, because I will be for solutions, not just talk. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank the candidates, and I'd also really like to thank the audience. You've been excellent, and it's great to see the engagement in West Bay. So thank you for coming out and being part of this audience. Now I now turn it over to Chamber Vice President Chris Kirkernel for closing remarks.
This is my last forum, so I want to thank you for having us in West Bay, and thank the people of West Bay and West Bay South for inviting us down to have this very important discussion. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and the Chamber Council, I would like to extend a special thanks to the candidates for participating in tonight's event. Your responses have been insightful, and we hope that the voters here this evening and watching at home feel more informed about their candidates. I would like to thank Hurley's Media for broadcasting tonight's forum live to the Cayman Islands via Cayman 27, and I would also like to thank our supporting sponsors, the DART Organization, Deloitte, Foster's IGA, Heritage Holdings, and Puritan Cleaners. The next candidate forum will take place on Wednesday, April 26th at Mary Miller Hall. Red Bay candidates include Frank McField, Alden McLaughlin, and Denison Tibbetts. Remember to visit caymanchamber.ky for news on the elections and on our forums. You can find voting information and voter ID collection locations also on this website. Thank you for supporting the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forums. Good night and safe travels.
We'll find whoever did this awful thing. He's hiding something. I'm telling you, Morgan is dangerous.
The pain will come when Deb finally understands who her brother really is. Rita's horror, the kids' tears.
Dear Carrie, you are nothing less to me than a big...
Where were you going with that?
I don't know. I'm getting wired from chewing all this Nicorette.
All right. Just work with what you got. Come on.
I'm not wrong. It's his real name. Have you ever in your life met anyone named Boyardee?
You're right.
I mean, if Jennifer asked for something really disturbing for her birthday deal, I don't know how I'll handle it.
My guess is not well.
Maybe I'm worried about nothing. I mean, what's the worst she can ask for?
Props, you in a cheerleader outfit, a third party involved, not necessarily a lady.
Has he nicked it? Yes, he has. What a riposte from Jason Homeboy Holder.